What if I told you there exists a book so ancient, so powerful, that it was hidden away, not to protect it from the world, but to protect the world from it? A manuscript whispered about in the secret chambers of mystery schools, encoded in glyphs, symbols, and paradoxes. A forbidden tome that outlines, in exact detail, how to manipulate energy, not metaphorically, not theoretically, but tangibly, deliberately, and with purpose. The kind of knowledge that bends the fabric of reality, if you dare to wield it. This isn't a spellbook of fantasy or fiction. It's a living codex of vibrational law, suppressed by the hands of conquerors, kept in vaults beneath temples long turned to dust, and encrypted in the teachings of sages who spoke in riddles. It tells of how energy flows through thought, how sound reshapes the ether, and how the unseen responds to intent like a shadow following light. The instructions are not poetic, they are precise. They speak of aligning frequency with desire, bending timelines through breath, and awakening dormant currents that sleep beneath the skin of your soul. But why was it hidden? Why has humanity, with all its modern technology, forgotten the very mechanics of the soul's influence over matter? Why do we fear the invisible, when it is the invisible that moves all things? In this video, we journey into the heart of that mystery. You'll discover the esoteric roots of energy manipulation, the sacred science once known by priest-kings, mystics, and alchemists. We'll explore fragments of this forbidden book that still exist in ancient writings, from the emerald tablets to hidden Kabbalistic scrolls, and we'll reveal what they truly meant when they spoke of bending the light. This is more than just an unveiling. It's an initiation. By the end of this video, you won't merely understand energy, you will feel it responding to your awareness, your emotion, your will. You'll know why the ancients feared those who held this power, and how you can begin reclaiming what was always yours. So, sit still. Let the veil thin. The secrets are ready to be revealed, but remember, some truths cannot be unseen. Long before science divided the world into particles and probability, before religion turned spirit into dogma, there existed a unified understanding among the ancients, a sacred perception that saw the universe not as a machine, but as a conscious web of energy. To them, everything vibrated with life. Mountains whispered. Stars listened. The breath of a man could summon the wind or silence a storm. And at the heart of this cosmic dance was the principle that energy, subtle, invisible, and infinite, could be moved. The oldest traces of this wisdom come not from one place, but from many, fragments scattered across the globe like breadcrumbs for the soul. In ancient Egypt, it was guarded by the priesthood of Thoth, hidden in the folds of the emerald tablets. These emerald green stone slabs, written in a cipher few have fully unlocked, speak of harnessing the light within and bending space through focused will. In India, the Vedas spoke of prana, the vital life force, and detailed how breath, posture, sound, and inner vision could reshape the flow of this current. In the heart of Mesopotamia, the Sumerians told stories of divine beings who gifted humanity with the ability to command energy through sacred geometry and sound codes. Across the Atlantic, the ancient Mayans built their temples with such harmonic precision that sound could resonate through stone like water through reeds. But these weren't just cultural myths or poetic philosophies. They were maps. Maps encoded with instructions, veiled beneath symbols, rituals, and allegory, on how to manipulate energy with precision. Not through brute force, but through resonance. The understanding was simple yet profound: energy follows intention. Intention follows awareness. Awareness follows presence. And presence is cultivated through discipline of the mind, heart, and breath. Yet, somewhere along the winding road of history, this knowledge began to vanish. The rise of material empires brought with them a hunger for control of land, people, and thought. The mystical, being untethered to hierarchy, posed a threat. Sacred texts were burned, initiates were silenced, and secret schools went underground. The Library of Alexandria was reduced to ash. The alchemists of medieval Europe were hunted as heretics. The wise women of ancient tribes, keepers of energetic medicine, were labeled witches and erased from memory. What remained was fragmented, distorted, truth wrapped in fear, symbols stripped of meaning. But even in the shadows, the flame never truly went out. Hidden within the folds of Kabbalah lies the tree of life, an energetic roadmap of creation. The Hermetic principles, secretly taught in Renaissance circles, echoed the same cosmic laws: as above, so below; as within, so without. The Taoists of ancient China spoke of qi, the force that moves within the meridians of the body and the flow of the cosmos alike. The indigenous shamans of the Americas used vibration, song, and vision to travel between worlds and shift energy within the body and earth. What all these traditions had in common was this: the belief that reality is not fixed. It is fluid. It bends to the frequency you hold, the symbols you use, and the state of consciousness you embody. They knew that energy is not manipulated by force, but by coherence. And those who could master this art were not gods, they were initiates. The Forbidden Book, whatever its true name, was never a single volume. It was a stream of gnosis, moving through many cultures, many voices. A puzzle hidden across time, waiting to be reassembled by those with eyes to see and ears to hear. Its pages exist in scrolls, chants, diagrams, meditations, and inner revelations. It was forbidden not because it was evil, but because it was empowering, dangerous to those who sought to keep humanity asleep. Now, the veil lifts once more. The fragments converge, and the question is no longer whether the knowledge exists. The question is, are you ready to wield it? To understand how one can bend energy, you must first unlearn what you've been told about reality. The world, as we perceive it through the five senses, is merely a projection, a condensed version of something far more vast and fluid. At its core, all things, matter, thought, emotion, sound, are simply expressions of frequency, of vibration. What we call energy is not abstract, it is the foundational substance of the universe, and it moves according to patterns that can be influenced, redirected, and shaped. The ancients knew this, which is why they placed such emphasis on symbols, tones, postures, and states of consciousness. Each of these was not random but intentional, crafted to generate specific energetic effects. In the Forbidden Book, let us call it that, for now, these tools were organized into a system, not of control, but of communion. You did not force energy to obey. You harmonized with it, like tuning a stringed instrument until it resonates in perfect pitch. The manipulation of energy, in this context, is less about command and more about co-creation. One of the core teachings of this hidden system is the principle of resonance. This law suggests that energy responds to other energy that vibrates at a similar frequency. When your thoughts, emotions, and physical presence align with a certain vibrational signature, you naturally begin to attract, generate, or amplify that energy. It is not magic in the theatrical sense, it is resonance in motion. This is why mystics across all traditions emphasized purification of thought, clarity of intention, and mastery of emotion. Because your internal state broadcasts into the energetic field around you. And the field always responds. Imagine a still body of water. When you drop a pebble into it, ripples move outward in perfect circles. But what if you dropped 1,000 pebbles at once, from all directions, with no intention or coherence? Chaos. Turbulence. Misaligned waves canceling each other out. Now imagine dropping one pebble, at the perfect angle, with full presence. The water doesn't resist, it flows. This is how energy responds to coherent will. The more aligned your inner world, the more precise your outer influence becomes. The forbidden book spoke often in metaphors. He who knows the word may move the winds. To modern ears, this sounds poetic. But in esoteric circles, the word was not language as we know it, it was vibration, pure and unfiltered. The ancient Hebrew Kabbalists believed that the world was spoken into existence through the 22 vibratory codes of their alphabet. The Egyptians carved glyphs into tombs not as art, but as resonant symbols that held energetic instructions. The yogic bija mantras, single-syllable seed sounds, were believed to activate corresponding energy centers in the human body, each one unlocking a different current within the field of consciousness. It's no coincidence that so many ancient rituals involve chanting, breath control, hand gestures, mudras, and sacred geometry. These were not mere ceremonies. They were technological protocols, ways to interface with the field. To shape energy as a sculptor shapes clay. The Forbidden Book, in its purest essence, was a manual for this, a vibrational architecture that showed the initiate how to hold intention, how to open the inner senses, and how to project energy with precision. But there is a reason this knowledge was buried beneath layers of metaphor. Energy, when misused, becomes distortion. Power, when wielded without wisdom, corrupts the soul. The early initiates knew this well. Which is why entry into this deeper current always required a purification, a death of the old self. The ego cannot bend energy. Only the still and focused soul can do so. That is why the ancient rites were designed to test your heart, not just your mind. And so, before one could manipulate energy, one had to become energy, fluid, attuned, and luminous. You had to learn how to feel the subtle. How to listen with more than ears. How to see with more than eyes. The manipulation of energy is not a trick. It is a state of being. This is just the beginning. In the next section, we will dive deeper into paradoxes, forgotten technologies of consciousness, and the most misunderstood teachings of all, how to shift timelines, dissolve limitation, and why most modern interpretations of energy work barely scratch the surface. To truly manipulate and bend energy, one must first confront the greatest paradox of all: energy is not something you control, it is something you become. This is the mystery that eludes modern seekers. We live in a culture obsessed with domination, over matter, time, even the self. But in the ancient traditions, the path of true power was the path of surrender. The Forbidden Book does not teach you to force energy, but to dissolve the boundaries that separate you from it. The deeper teachings reveal this. You are not in the universe is in you. Energy responds not to the words you speak, but to the frequency you are. That's why many who attempt to use affirmations or visualization techniques fail. Their minds may recite the words, but their energy, their inner resonance, remains incoherent, conflicted, dissonant. The ancient adepts understood that bending energy begins with inner congruence. Only when thought, emotion, and spirit are aligned can the field around you shift in accordance. The Forbidden Book illustrates this through symbols and layered allegory. One recurring motif is the serpent and the spiral. To the uninitiated, the serpent is seen as dangerous, even evil. But to the initiate, the serpent is a symbol of energy coiled within the self, what many traditions call Kundalini. It lies dormant at the base of the spine, waiting not to be commanded, but awakened through deep presence and purity. The spiral, too, is a sacred geometry seen in galaxies, shells, DNA. It is the shape of life force in motion, expanding outward and inward simultaneously. This dual movement, upward in transcendence, downward in embodiment, mirrors the way energy truly flows, not linearly, but in waves, spirals, and pulses. This is where the deeper mechanics of bending energy come into play. At a fundamental level, energy follows awareness. Wherever you direct your full, sustained consciousness, energy concentrates. The Forbidden Book explains this in terms of gates, not physical doors, but inner thresholds. These are entry points into deeper layers of reality. Each gate corresponds to a frequency, a state of being, a layer of self. The more you anchor your awareness into a chosen frequency, peace, love, clarity, silence, the more energy begins to restructure around it. Not instantly, not like flipping a switch, but gradually, rhythmically, like music adjusting its key. Many spiritual systems attempted to convey this with limited language. Hermeticism calls it mentalism, the idea that all is mind, and the universe is a projection of thought. But the key insight is that thought alone is not enough. It must be charged with emotion and stabilized through intention. This triad, thought, emotion, intention, forms the architect's compass. It allows you to shape your reality not by wishing, but by embodying. One of the most misunderstood concepts today is manifestation. In truth, you do not attract what you want, you align with it. The field does not care about your desires. It responds to your frequency. If your external desires are rooted in fear, lack, or ego, then what manifests will only mirror those frequencies back to you. But if your frequency is tuned to wholeness, gratitude, and clarity, you become a magnet, not for illusions, but for the resonance of your own truth. Another forgotten teaching within the Forbidden Book relates to time. Time is not fixed. It is elastic. Mystics knew how to bend time by altering their energetic state. In moments of deep meditation, time slows or expands. This is not imagination, it is a shift in dimensional perception. The same principle applies to outcomes and timelines. By shifting your dominant frequency, you collapse one potential future and call forth another. This is why the ancients saw the future not as fate, but as fluid potential. And the steering wheel was always consciousness. Even the body, once believed to be dense and mechanical, is a lattice of energy in constant flux. The chakras, meridians, the pineal gland, all function as instruments of subtle perception and projection. The Forbidden Book speaks of activating the crystalline temple, a poetic phrase pointing to the luminous body, the refined energetic structure that emerges when you begin living as energy, not just observing it. Ultimately, to bend energy is not to gain control, it is to return to your original design. To move beyond illusion, step into coherence, and walk as one who remembers. The secrets were never meant to be withheld. They were hidden in plain sight, protected by symbols, waiting for the one whose heart could decode them not with logic, but with presence. All this wisdom, sacred geometry, vibrational resonance, the bending of time and thought, remains lifeless unless embodied. The Forbidden Book was never meant to be merely studied. It was to be lived. And so now we arrive at the heart of the path. How do you apply this knowledge? How do you, in this very life, begin to sense, shape, and redirect energy as the ancients did? The first step is radical stillness. Energy is not perceived in noise, chaos, or distraction. To sense the subtle layers of existence, one must cultivate a state of inner silence. This is not the silence of inactivity, but the silence of presence, a deep, grounded awareness that listens without judgment. Begin with breath. The breath is the bridge between the physical and the energetic. When you breathe slowly, deeply, and consciously, you are signaling to the energetic field that you are ready to tune in. The ancient pranayama techniques, though simple in form, are profoundly powerful. Try this: inhale for 4 counts, hold for 4, exhale for 4, and hold again for 4. This square breath technique begins to stabilize the energy body and quiet the mental chatter. Next comes attention. Energy follows awareness, remember? Choose a point in your body, your heart, your third eye, your hands, and bring all your focus there. Do not try to feel energy. Instead, listen to the sensations, however faint. The moment your awareness becomes gentle, patient, and consistent, you will begin to notice heat, tingling, pressure, or pulsing. These are not tricks of imagination. They are signs that the energy is responding to your call. To bend energy, you must give it direction. This is where intention becomes vital. Not desire. Intention. There is a difference. Desire often comes from lack. Intention arises from alignment. For example, instead of saying, "I want to heal," you might declare, "I allow healing to unfold through me." Subtle shift, massive difference. Intentions are best delivered during meditative states, when the conscious mind is quiet and the subconscious is listening. Visualization, then, becomes your brushstroke. Picture the energy flowing, light spiraling through your body, your heart emitting waves into the space around you. Combine this with a focused emotional state, gratitude, peace, joy, and you begin to generate a coherent field around your body. And the field always responds to coherence. Sound is another ancient key. The voice is one of your most powerful tools. Chanting sacred syllables like Om, H, or Hu activates different centers within your energetic body. When repeated with feeling, these tones begin to cleanse, align, and project energy into the field. You can also speak intentions aloud, not as affirmations, but as vibrational commands. Speak slowly, with reverence, as though the words themselves carry weight. Because they do. Sacred movement, such as Qigong, Tai Chi, or simple conscious gestures, can also help circulate and direct energy. The body becomes the wand, the conductor. When you move with full presence, each motion draws patterns into the field. Remember, it's not about complexity, it's about presence. One slow, intentional motion, performed with full consciousness, can shift your entire energetic state. As you begin working with these techniques, you may encounter obstacles, doubt, restlessness, mental resistance. These are the echoes of a conditioned mind that was taught to dismiss the invisible. Be gentle, but persistent. Energy responds to trust. If you treat it like a fantasy, it will remain elusive. But if you approach it as something sacred, it will begin to show itself. Over time, as your practice deepens, you'll notice subtle shifts, synchronicities, emotional clarity, even altered states of perception. You may begin to feel energy around others, sense the atmosphere of rooms, or intuitively guide your own healing. These are not fantasies. They are signs that you are reawakening to what your ancestors knew, that you are not separate from the field. You are the field, sculpted into form, here to remember how to dance with light. This path is not instant, and it is not linear. But it is real. And if you walk it with reverence, the forbidden becomes revealed. Not through ceremony or status, but through silence, will, and devotion. We began this journey with a whisper, a myth of a forbidden book that contains the secrets of bending energy. But as you've now seen, the truth is far more profound. This book, whether etched on stone tablets, hidden in scrolls, or encoded in the living traditions of mystics, was never truly lost. It lives in the breath, the stillness, the wordless knowing that stirs when you remember who and what you are. The power to shape energy has never belonged to the elite or the chosen few. It belongs to the awakened. To those willing to unlearn, to listen deeply, and to reclaim the forgotten language of the universe. This knowledge was hidden not because it was dangerous, but because it was sacred. And the sacred must be approached with humility, responsibility, and reverence. Now you've glimpsed the architecture behind all form, the lattice of light that pulses beneath every thought, every sound, every heartbeat. You've learned that to manipulate energy is not to wield a wand, but to become the wand itself. To let your body, your mind, and your spirit become the instrument through which intention takes shape. You've learned that energy is responsive, not passive. It listens to your emotions, follows your breath, and dances to the rhythm of your presence. This is just the beginning. The map is vast, and you now hold a fragment of it in your hands. What you do with it next is not about mastery, it's about remembrance. The real initiation doesn't happen in temples or rituals. It happens when you choose, moment by moment, to live in coherence. To breathe with intention. To speak with clarity. To feel with truth. That is how you become the force that moves the unseen. So, I leave you with this: if your thoughts shape the field, and your presence bends reality, what are you becoming with every breath? The forbidden book is no longer forbidden. It's simply waiting for the one who dares to read it, not with the eyes, but with the soul. If this message has stirred something within you, share it. Comment below and let your voice be part of the field. And if you're ready to explore deeper, subscribe, and step further into the mystery. Your journey has only just begun. Welcome back, Initiate.